Tonight, a new poll of Democrats shows that Stephen Colbert, the comedian, the late-night TV host, is actually shaking up the race for president. Yes, the fake candidate is creating ripples by beating real ones. He's running neck and neck with Joe Biden. You see it there. The senator who chairs the Foreign Relations Committee. Colbert is actually ahead of Dennis Kucinich and Bill Richardson. For those not paying close attention, newsflash, it's a joke. He's playing a character.
Who would have thought that the son of a poor Appalachian turd miner, the grandson of a goat ball licker, born in the town of could be president, one day could be president of the United States. Only in America, John.
And now Colbert could actually impact the 2008 race. He's reaching out to Republican and Democratic officials down in South Carolina, where he's from. His presence on the ballot there could shake up the early primary schedule. That's exactly what he told Tim Russert on Meet the Press.
I want to put the focus back on South Carolina. I want it to be a permanent thing. I don't want Iowa and New Hampshire to be the only people in the United States who get to control who is a bellwether state. And if Iowa and New Hampshire don't like that, they can take some of that Iowa corn and stick it right up their Dixville notch.
Stephanie Miller is host of the Stephanie Miller Show and has waged her own candidacy for president. And Craig Crawford is MSNBC political analyst and a columnist for the Congressional Quarterly. All right, Craig, let me start with you. I mean, look, we're gonna have some fun with this segment, but first I got to ask you, on a serious note, could this actually have an impact?
Well, if he got on a ballot in South Carolina, then votes are cast, and no matter even if people cast a vote as a joke, it still counts. And I would see the possibility that he could win a delegate.
And more importantly, Craig, isn't it the media attention? I mean, if he actually goes down there and begins campaigning, the press is going to be covering him certainly more than some of the lower tier candidates, but it could actually even impact the amount of press that Clinton and Obama get.
Sure, and I think that's one reason South Carolina officials were fairly receptive to this, because that's the whole purpose of this early calendar for the South Carolina primary, is they want more attention on South Carolina. He's got to get on those ballots, though, and he's only got till next Thursday to decide. That's the deadline. On the Republican side, he's got to pony up $35,000 to get on the ballot. The Democrats only charge $2,500 or 3,000 signatures on petitions. So that's the legal mechanism he's got to get through to get on the ballot. If he gets on the ballot, he might be fake, but votes are real if they're cast for him.
Here's what he said about that very issue.
We're not members of the Factinista.
Well, it's proportional voting on the Democratic side. All I need is enough votes on the Democratic side to get one delegate, and I'll feel like I've won. Because if at the Democratic National Convention somebody has to stand up and say, the proud state of South Carolina, the Palmetto State, the home of the greatest peaches and shrimp in the world, cast one vote for native son Stephen Colbert, I'd say I won.
Stephanie Miller, so you tried this yourself, didn't you?
Dan, I just want to say, out here from Hollywood, there's word that Carrot Top is going to get in, and if Bobcat Goldthwait is serious, the whole thing is topsy-turvy. I'm running for vice president, Dan, with Barry Goldwater's granddaughter. We're doing Goldwater Miller 08, family name, no skills, just like W. And I think that we're going to shake up the race as well. I think it's why Gore is staying out, Dan.
But you actually looked into what you can and can't do, didn't you? If you were actually going to wage what is a fake candidacy, whatever you want to call it, you actually looked into what the practical ramifications are, didn't you?
I did, Dan. Clearly, it's a cheap publicity stunt to promote my radio show and Cece Goldwater's DVD about her grandfather, Goldwater on Goldwater, Mr. Conservative. However, I think that we're making a more serious point that this is not my dad and Goldwater's party anymore. That the Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton is quoting Barry Goldwater on the campaign trail today about gays in the military. You don't have to be straight, you just have to shoot straight. Barry Goldwater is a liberal icon today. How hilarious is that? Well, so we are making a point.
And she was a Goldwater girl, remember?
But Craig.
Yes, she was.
Craig, but it's look, but what I think that is kind of amazing about this is when you take these national polls. I mean, Colbert is pretending pretending to be, some right-wing blowhard. I mean, that's sort of his whole shtick here, and it's hilarious. And yet, it seems that he's more popular among Democrats than Republicans.
Well, and he beats some fairly serious Democrat in Bill Richardson. That one really did kind of surprise me. You got to wonder if people can stay in the race if they can't even out-poll a fake candidate. The other question, Dan, is the debates. I mean, if these are candidates who are allowed in the debates, if he gets better numbers than they do, why shouldn't he be in the debates?
Here's the Colbert position on gay marriage.
Marriage is the basic building block of society, and if gay men get married, that threatens my marriage immediately, because I only got married as a taunt toward gay men because they couldn't.
Stephanie, as a fellow comedian, are you a little bit envious of the amount of attention that he's gotten in his campaign as opposed to yours?
I'm suing, frankly. I declared a full 3 weeks ago, Dan, and until you shone a spotlight on this, I think that just goes to show you how dissatisfied people are with Bush and this White House. What, a 24% approval
rating? But it's the Democrats, Stephanie. He's getting basically nothing with the Republicans, but when he's up against the other Democrats, that's where he's actually, I don't want to call it competitive, but at least competing.
Listen, I think if Dumbledore gets in the race now that he's come out as gay, I think he shakes up the whole thing, Dan. I think we're all screwed.
Well, I think Stephanie makes a really good point. The anti-establishment mood out there in the country is, I think, what opens the door to this. That's how Pat Paulson got in the race, the comedian, back in 1968.
Yeah, his slogan was, I think his slogan was, I've upped my standards, now up yours. All right. Stephanie Miller and Craig Crawford, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.